Hi guys, so this video sucks to have to make, but I feel like it's just something I really want to talk about, and the whole goal of me even starting this YouTube channel was to show how veganism is doable but hard in China. And it's not just veganism, it's compassion. And this is a situation where we're talking more about compassion for animals than we are about veganism itself. And it's just like, I just love animals so much. And while I was in China, I never planned on having an animal because honestly, I know that moving can be stressful for an animal, and I thought if I buy an animal while I'm in China, I don't know how long I'll be here, I don't know how long I'll be in the next place. It just seemed like a bad idea, and I just felt like it would be better for me to wait until a time where I'm in a more stable environment and don't plan on moving so frequently. And so that was the plan. Then there were other things I learned about China that made me maybe a little bit want to start doing things like working in shelters. I've thought about fostering, but it's something that I hadn't done because I honestly, for a lot of reasons, just personally wasn't ready to handle the responsibility. And then I found myself facing the responsibility. I guess I should give a little bit of background on dog selling in China. Animals in China are, I think, viewed a little bit differently, and you can tell that by the fact that I walk down the street and see rabbits' heads and pig faces and like an entire rib cage like hanging off what looks like a clothesline. And that's just, that's every day for me. That's get used to it or else leave China. And for some people it desensitizes them, and that's how most of China feels. And for people like me, it makes me feel like I'm never doing enough as a vegan. And the other thing that people do is they sell dogs on the street. Like literally the way that like a street cart will also sell fruit or like a noodle dish. It's the same kind of concept, except for sometimes you see a little cage with puppies. People are selling these little puppies on the street. And one thing you can definitely know about people who sell puppies on the street is that the puppies are kept in bad conditions. The puppies are probably younger than they're being sold as, right? Because you don't want to buy a puppy when they're too young, their immune system's not strong enough, and they don't have as good of a shot at living. And so, like, if they say it's a 3-month-old puppy, there's a good chance it's a 2-month-old puppy. And same with vaccinations. So, yeah, of course this dog's gotten almost all their vaccinations. You just gotta do a booster shot for, like, one thing, but, like, they're fine. And this is genuinely, like, people will lie about these things, which that's just, it's so heartbreaking to me that people have so little value for life that they could do something like that. Vegan mantra about pet owning is like always adopt, don't shop, and it's like, this is worse than that. Some pet shops genuinely do care about their animals. Their idea of what compassion is maybe is a little bit skewed. Now this is genuinely evil people. A person who sells a dog just to make a couple hundred kwai, knowing full well probably, like, I'd say at least 50% of those puppies die that are sold on the streets. Probably more. Like, if I'm being honest, probably more than 50%. So that's background. That's the thing that pisses me off right now about China. And it's something I've been not really doing anything about. And I guess part of me felt bad about it, and part of me was stressed and busy with other things and wasn't making time for it. And here is the story of why I'm going to start making time for it. And just P.S. I'm going to do my best not to cry much, but if I get a little teary-eyed. During this part of me talking, there might be some photos or videos overlaid of Ramona. So, this is Ramona. Ramona was a puppy that was about this big. You know, I could hold her in the palm of my hand. And she was sold off the street to one of my coworkers, who just got to China maybe less than a month ago. Ramona and his brother got sold to two of my coworkers, both of whom haven't really been here very long, so maybe, besides just the fact that not everyone has the adopt, don't shop mentality, also maybe just didn't realize that buying a dog off the street is a horrible idea. And the boy, Hendrix is his name, the other puppy, he is living with my coworker, and then Ramona maybe was a little bit loud, cried when she was, what I was told was that she was very loud and cried a lot. And so her owner was planning on putting her in a shelter. And, you know, that's where I kind of stepped in and was like, I can't let this dog go in a shelter. It's like a 3-month-old. We were told 3 months old, once again, going back to other stories, we were told they were vaccinated, told they were 3 years old, or 3 months old, I'm sorry. But they were actually about 2 months old, I found out later. You know, I was just so worried about what would happen to her in a shelter, and so I took her. I took her in, and I was so excited to be a dog mom, to, like, take care of a dog for the first time since my dog that, like, I had growing up died. And she just, the tiniest little fucking puppy, you know? And when she first got here, the only time she ever made a yelp, made a sound was if she had to go to the bathroom, which she wasn't potty trained, but like if I had her on the couch or the bed, she would yelp to get off of it and then go on the tiles instead, which was actually kind of nice. You know, at night I had her like in my bed with me, and if I was too far away from her, she'd cry a little bit, but it wasn't anything that was really bothersome. After I had her for about a day, so this is, you know, this was like a whole whirlwind of stuff that happened. This wasn't like even a long-term thing, but if you saw that puppy, you would have fallen in love in an instant too. And the next morning she was hesitant to eat, ate a little bit, and then maybe an hour later regurgitated it. So like basically vomited, but like it was all just undigested kibble basically. And so at first I was a little concerned, but puppies throw up really easily. It just is like a good defense mechanism to be able to throw anything up really easily. So they can make themselves throw up easier than, like you say, humans can. Maybe towards the end of the day, still hasn't really eaten anything, which once again, and these are things, you know, I was doing research, I was like spending all day on my computer, I was stressed, for a couple reasons. One, because I knew where this dog came from, and I knew that there was a possibility that she was going to be sick. Two, because one of my students, she got a dog that ended up having parvo, who ended up dying, and of course, that just made me, like, super stressed. And so, by the end of the day, Ramona had, like, not diarrhea, but, like, kind of loose stool, which, you know, she hasn't eaten anything all day. She had, you know, like, drank a little bit, and so, once again, like, I was worried. And the next morning, you know, on the floor, which, like I said, she hasn't been potty trained, so she had peed all over the floor, and I expected that, but she also had some, like, a little bit of diarrhea that was, like little bit, like she was trying to get it out, which that's, like, kind of a sign of, you know, your body's really trying to fight something and trying to get it out of you, but she really couldn't. I called up the vet, kind of explained the circumstances, and she said, yeah, bring her in, and this was, like, early in the morning, and then by, like, 10 a.m., she, like, threw up, and she threw up bile, because she hadn't eaten in, like, 24 hours at that point, and I was, you know, like, starting to be, like, really freaked out. I bring her to the vet around 1, and it turns out she has parvo. Like, parvo, apparently 85% of dogs survive. My vet said 60%, and I'm assuming that that's, like, it's just worse in China than it is in other parts of the world where I was getting info from online. And the vet looked at Ramona and was like, she can't be 3 months old. She's probably 2 months old, which means it's even harder to fight infection, because if you know anything about baby animals of any sort, their immune systems aren't really strong when they're first born. So at that point, you know, that whole day she had kind of just been laying around, not doing anything, very lethargic. You know, she'd get up and play for a couple minutes, then go lay down again. And what she needed to do was stay there and get some infusions to keep her hydrated and some medicine to, like, it's a virus, so you can't actually do anything to fight the virus. You just have to try to fight the symptoms and get the dog through the symptoms, which is why, like, rehydrating them, medicine to keep down their fever if they have a fever, stuff like that. And so I left her at the vet, and the vet was great. She would send me pictures and videos of how Ramona was doing, and, you know, I would go back for the next 2 days. I'd go back every day, and I'd sit with her, and I'd pet her, and it was just heartbreaking to see her so small and so sad, and she could barely move. The first day, when she could still walk and stuff like that, she tried to walk over to me, and, like, then the next day it was, like, harder for her to walk, and, like, she could barely get up. And she was, like, kind of hanging her head off the cage. Like, I would open the cage door, and she had, like, scooted up a little bit, so, like, she hung her head off the cage and just kind of looked at me and waited for me to just put her head in my hand so I could pet her. And that night, the vet messaged me, told me that she died. And it felt like the world was crashing down around me. It was devastating. And I only had her for, like, 2 days. It made me so sad, but it made me so fucking angry too. You know, like, I knew I wanted to have given Ramona the best she could have. If she ended up in a shelter, like she almost did, she would have definitely died. The shelters don't have resources to treat stuff like that. I gave her the best chance she could have possibly had. And I know that, and I'm happy I did that. But it still sucks. In China, it's, like, one of the most important places. Like, just adopt. Just adopt. Just do it. And I'm still hesitant to, like, get a permanent dog again, and I said that before, but I have talked to someone who also works at my company who fosters sometimes here in Chengdu, and I told her, if you have a dog or a cat or whatever that needs a temporary home, I'll be there. And, you know, this whole ordeal, it's been so hard, but the other part of it makes me realize how fucked up the world is, and how much I need to really do more than I'm doing to make it a better place. I need to do my best to make even the smallest difference, you know, so that less animals like that end up hurt, and less bad people breed these animals, you know. If I could convince, you know, one person in China or anywhere not to buy these dogs, or to tell their friends not to buy these dogs, I'll feel like at least that's one less dog that's getting hurt, you know. I think, like I said earlier, like, I've just become more vegan since I've gotten to China, and this is just another one of those things that she died 3 days ago, and this has been the hardest week of my life, you know. Even when my dog died that I had growing up, I was more distracted. I was at college, so, like, my parents were mostly taking care of him, stuff like that. And I wanted to get this out. I want people to think about this stuff. And please, whatever the fuck you do, adopt. Don't shop.